So, I mean, I did the 4 exercises to be examples of those 4 things because, I mean, at the minimum, you want to find something, you want to figure out the measurements, you want to, understand there's a table of information behind it, and you want to make output. Right? If you're studying something, you gotta know, so that's why I did that. So I have all those things, but I wanted to show you one capability of the program that it's not covered in the basic stuff, but just so you know it's there. It's sort of a neat thing.
Is there a third handout that you have?
I have some other handouts. One is just on property mapping resources at Anne Arundel County, and one is on just these practical exercises to practice. So those are those things. So this is sort of neat.
It's fantastic you just showed us the measurement. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Because to do the green school application, which Eric should read about, especially with this project, it's doing feet right in everything, is we have to do a lot of measurements around the schoolyard as far as different things, and now I know we can do it right here.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Yeah, super easy.
saving hours.
Okay, so this might something come into play. So AACPS has the Board of Ed. If you were going to do major, minor, or project outside the building, they're going to tell you can't plant a tree within 15 feet of the building. That's a rule. Well, how do you know what 15 feet is? I mean, across the whole building, that's really a pain to go and have to do that. It would take you a long time to draw all that out, but there's a very easy way to do something like that on GIS using the tool called buffer. So a buffer is an offset distance. Now you can imagine a buffer on a point would be a concentric circle. A buffer on a line would be an oblong kind of thing. And a buffer on a shape will be a concentric shape of that, square or whatever. So there's an easy way to get an offset distance. I'm going to show you this on I'll see if I can do it on a point. So first of all, I could measure, alright, so say I want to plant a tree in this big green open space right here. Okay, the first thing I would do is, sorry, take me a minute. I'm gonna measure what available space I have. Okay, so I'm gonna measure distance between the building and the sidewalk. Wow, I'm 110 feet. I know I can put a tree there. Okay, the rule is 15 feet off of the building and 15 feet off of the sidewalk, or maybe it's 25 feet. It might be 25 feet off the building. 15 feet off the sidewalk. So in any case, I got a lot of space. It's no problem. So I'm going to plop a tree in there. I'm going to do that by using the tasks. I'm going to just use an example of a point. And I know that the whole thing is 110 feet. I'm going to pick the middle just because that's going to be about 50 feet. So there's my potential tree planting spot. Now I want to prove to the board when I send my major minor form in that this is bigger than 25 feet. What I do is I go to this tool called buffer the shape. So I'm going to buffer a point. I'm going to put a point that you won't be able to see right there in the middle of my tree spot. And I'm going to tell it to make this the canopy size of the tree. So how big is the tree going to grow? You know, when it's big? They grow about 30 feet. This is going to be oak. So I'll say 30 feet. And I'm going to add it to the markup right here, meaning add it to the drawing. And it's going to make a circle 30 feet around that tree.
Laura, if you wanted to calculate the canopy size of certain kinds of trees, how would you calculate that?
There are references you just have to look up.
But not in the GIS.
Not in the GIS. It doesn't have tree-specific stuff. But this is a good, and then I can do the same thing about keeping that as a drawing. So that could be useful for a tree. And if you wanted to do the building, the first thing you would have to do is get the shape of the building. I didn't show you that, but I actually skipped that part. But the impervious area of the buildings are already been mapped for us using under urban features impervious surfaces right there. So I can actually identify already what is the impervious surface of the main part of the building by opening the table. Table view. Don't be. Oh shoot. Launched it again.
Yeah, the browser seems to close.
When you guys do buildings, when you do things that are landmarks, you can use the option called I want to find a landmark, because things like post offices and schools, libraries, high schools, they're all in here already as a point of interest. So you should be able to go pretty quickly to the school. Alright. So we're back at impervious surfaces, and I should be able to figure out how much this has already been measured. Where it's colored, that's digitized.
So I'm on my house and I'm clicking impervious surface, trying to mimic what you're doing, and it's not showing up. Is there a trick to?
Did you click the outer layer called urban features?
Oh, I have to click the outside.
And you gotta get
Oh, there it went.
in the driveway, right? That's it. Your pool.
Oh, it keeps
My pool and the pool
it keeps-
sidewalk.
Yeah,
Right.
it
But
keeps,
that's what I'm saying,
something's
it's your
crashing
house,
in
that's
here
all
when
I'm
I
gonna
do the impervious. But basically, there's a table behind that information, right? It's colored, so when I go to that, I can figure out how much impervious surface is there already. It's already measured. I don't have to do the measurement tool, it's already measured. It's measured in that table.
So I got a question. It might not be pertaining to this, but does this technology also like show, like for solar, for instance, to show how much sunlight hits roofs and all of that? Does this pertain to that type of technology?
Well, indirectly, yes, because like I mentioned before, you can see the aspect of the sun, right? You can see this points
Like how
north.
hits the roof?
This points north, so this is a southeast exposure, a southwest exposure. So if you look at a picture like this, and you could theoretically see, is it open? Does it have shade on the roof or not? So, and then you could measure your roof. You can measure the aspect that points to the south and the aspect that points to the north, and do you have? So yes and no. Like I'm positive that solar companies are using GIS, something like Google Earth or something like that, to figure things out, because they're marketing. You ever receive information? Neighbors of mine they've done market analysis. They've used GIS, guaranteed, to say these people could afford solar panels and they have a south exposure, and so they would be right for the using that. So yes, indirectly, yes.
Yeah, because I know the guy came to my door
Yep.
and said that. We use GIS, we figured out that
Yep.
your house, this is,
That's
get
right.
this southern exposure.
That's
You're
right.
a perfect candidate.
That's right. And they looked right past my house and said, no, you have too many
You know
trees,
too
forget
much,
it.
right?
Right? So yeah, they've already done their homework.
Yeah, they have.
But what I was going to tell you is that you can get the table of information about the impervious stuff here. It's just not behaving the way it should today. But right here, it tells me that the building is that big.
And what did you go to find out how big the building was?
The eye, right.
Identify.
So you turn on the layer you want the information about, you turn on the eye, and then you tell it, where do I want the information? Like, yeah, on the analysis tab. That's right. And so usually there's a way, it's not cooperating with me, but you see right here where it says table view. So if I want to pick multiple things, I can keep them in this selected panel. I add them to selected, and I get a table view, and I could get like the building plus the parking lot plus the sidewalk, all of it. So that's already there, that's already calculated for you. But if you wanted, that's gonna be the whole building. If you wanted a portion of the building, you would wanna use that measurement tool.
And from a change engineering perspective, one of the exercises could be to determine what the stormwater runoff is on the high school itself, and then what kind of mitigation methods could be used to mitigate it. Same thing with their homes.
Just point out that
I wonder, do we have any rain gardens on site?
not around the building,
They used to be
just the ones that are in the park.
cut down.
Don't we have a garden?
Filled up.
You may have a
No,
garden.
it's not a rain.
What's the rain garden?
A rain garden is a shallow depression that water goes to temporarily and it drains down in it. So, you know, like in the woods, we don't have runoff because we have, the terrain looks like this. So water gets, first of all, the leaves absorb all the water, doesn't run off anyway, but even if it did, it would just go to the next basin and soak in. But when we build stuff, we make it all flat, so water runs off of it, and there's no place for the water to go. It picks up the speed, and so rain garden is a place to send a small amount of water to, so that it sort of goes into a basin and soaks in. It does not have standing water in it, so you have some depressions in the front. That is not a rain garden, that's a wetland. They made a wetland. So rain garden is meant to be dry, except occasionally. It drains within a couple of days. And you wouldn't do a rain garden on a roof that big. There's just too much water that would go to it. But you see, your little portables might have options for something, like a small practice, small practice. Anyway, very, very, very powerful program, and very fun to use, and I think the kids would be interested in exploring their home, exploring the home watershed, exploring the building, you know, church, other things, making measurements, making inferences, things like that about it. The question was asked about the easements, so I wanted to show you this one thing. It might not be clear, but okay, so let's go to a neighborhood. I'm just going to go across the street here because it's convenient. And if I turn on the utilities, there's typically an easement around pipes and inlets. Because an easement means that they're using, they may need to have access to that pipe or that inlet to do work on it, right? So let's go in here. So oftentimes when planners are planning neighborhoods and stuff, they try to put those things on community property because it's much easier to negotiate agreements with the community than the homeowner. So if I turn on the property boundaries, which are called parcels, I might see here that, okay, so this is sort of interesting. Across the street, this area right here is a stormwater pond. That means that that neighborhood was built after 1985. So they're sending the water to the pond instead of the creek.
That's how it is in my neighborhood. We have to pay a huge $1,700 yearly fee for this.
To keep the maintenance
of
those on. Yeah, so
What's the good thing about sending to a pond?
Well, because it has a chance to be filtered.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
So if the stormwater goes to like that location there, it's not filtered, correct?
Well, so yes and no. So so before 1985, water went straight to the creek. Zero filtration, zero chance at cleaning it, cooling it, anything. It's totally polluted straight to the creek. 1985, they built ponds that would hold the water, but you can imagine that the next time it would rain, those things would overflow. Okay? They built called wet ponds. 2007, they started changing the pond structure to become infiltration pond, so the water would go to the pond and then soak in.